I just want to say thank you very much for all the recent subscribers. We've grown to over 5,000 subscribers, and I want to welcome the new people. And I just want to say, I want to create an environment where people who disagree with me and oppose my political views feel like they have a voice, they can be heard. And I don't want to create an echo chamber. I think both sides often create echo chambers. And I think we need to listen to each other. And hopefully, this is an environment for that. So, to celebrate 5,000 subscribers, I want to do a political compass. I know it's flawed, and there's versions that are more complex, as the 8, the 12. That would take hours. They have got at least 70 questions in each section, and we would be here all day. So, I thought we'd do the more simpler kind of libertarian versus authoritarian, left, right, and see where I come up on the compass. So let's get straight into it. Just a few propositions to start with concerning no less how do you see the country and the world? Okay, if economic globalization is inevitable, okay, it's not, but it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational companies. Oh, strongly agree with that. It's, yeah, it goes without saying, why have these businesses if they're not going to serve a broader utilitarian purpose? Like, I know legally we don't live in that world. There's an obligation to create wealth for the shareholders. But yeah, I mean, yeah, serve humanity, obviously. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. Strongly disagree on that one. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Strongly agree with that. I really don't like nationalism. I think it's a reactionary tendency that leads often to negative consequences. And I think to be proud, I mean, it's just luck of the draw. Like, I think you should take pride in your actions, your decisions, your morals, your hard work, how you treat people, and how you make decisions. Like, being proud about something that you didn't decide, I think, is strange. Our race has many superior qualities compared to other races. Our race has many. Okay, that's obviously meant to evoke and is meant to be vague. These are propositions. So, our race, the human race, I mean, alien race, our race has many superior qualities compared to other races. Well, I think that's implying maybe white race, whatever, black race, whatever, has many compared to other races. Disagree on that. I don't like that. The enemy of the enemy is my friend. The enemy of my enemy. Oh, I don't know. I don't like that framing, really. The enemy of my enemy. So, the enemy. So, trans people would be the enemy of my enemy, is my friend. Agree. I mean, I wish they had a neutral. Agree on that? I don't know. I don't like that one. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. International law, I don't know. That's a difficult one because in the confines of international law, you can defend yourself. So if someone was to invade Britain, obviously not going to happen. Maybe Russia, unlikely. I think under international law, we'd be able to defend ourselves. So military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I don't know on that one. Like, I mean, there will be certain times where you will do things outside of international law that could be justified. I don't know. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. International law. I don't know. It depends on the context. Like, if you're against the Nazis, I think it depends. Agree. Not strongly agree. I'd be neutral. I wish there was a neutral one there. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Oh, yeah, massively. Since the 1970s, like that book, Amusing Ourselves to Death, that's a key part of why politics has gone so populist, and it's a big problem. Like the Americanization of politics across the world is a big problem. It's entertainment, it's kind of charisma, it's being a showman. That is almost above policy now. Like the fact that Trump won just based on repetition of often lies about immigrants, he won on that. And that's the world we live in now, where he is charismatic, he's entertaining, he's funny, he's unpredictable, he's very, firm in his beliefs. He says the same thing. He did hundreds of rallies, same thing, very disciplined with his messaging. So there is now worry infusion. Strongly agree on that one. So next page. Now the economy. We're talking about attitudes here, not the FTSE index. So people are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. Strongly agree on that. Obviously, like workers unite, and people are divided. They either have to sell their labor or they're part of the capitalist class. You either own or you sell your labor. That's the only really two options we have. So strongly agree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Oh God, inflation. Disagree. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require. Oh yeah, strongly agree with that. You can't just let the market run riot because it's all about the profit. They don't care about the environment. And if you don't build in regulations, which they want to get rid of, to protect the environment, there'll be more sewage in our rivers than there currently is, and there are regulations. So, yeah, you definitely need to regulate corporations because they will run wild, and they do. They get away with a lot of stuff, even though we have regulations. From from each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally, of course, yeah. I mean, that's a classic Marxist kind of Adam of people have certain needs in society, disabled people who are, have certain diseases, health conditions. They need to have their needs met. And there's some people who are more able to do sports, physical activity, more intelligence, although I don't think that's inherent. I mean, that's obviously an environmental thing. But I think, yeah, strongly agree that we need to build society based on people's abilities and needs and meet those needs and don't prejudice against people just because they don't fit the norm or yeah, strongly agree on that one. The freer the market, the freer the people. No, not at all. No. It just hasn't worked. Like the last 40 years of neoliberalism and the idea that the market, the invisible hand of the market will kind of shape everything. It's just simply not true. Down economics hasn't worked. For the average person, it hasn't worked. And wages have, if not stagnated, they've gone down in real terms since the 1970s, just like plummeted. It's simply not true. So, strongly disagree on that. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now bottled, branded. Oh, massively. Massively. Strongly agree on that one. It's crazy the amount of bottled water that exists, and then you have people who buy bottles like once a year to keep that. It's insane, just insane. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Land shouldn't be. No, I mean, who's to say who owns what? I maybe that's naive, and some will say it is, but so much of wars are borders, and so much conflict has come from land ownership and who owns the what. And the world's a big place. There's 8 billion people, there's plenty of space. And I think, yes, we are apes, and apes are very territorial. But surely we can transcend our ape selves, our animal selves, and know that there's plenty of space and people. Yeah, land shouldn't be a commodity. I don't know. Shouldn't be sold. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. No, I think we should have a shared ownership of it. I think it's a commons, like water. The fact that that's privatized in the UK, the only country in the world, England, not in Wales, not in Scotland, to privatize water is an insane thing. It's not worked. So, no, I disagree. Not strongly disagree, but I just disagree. I think we can learn to share. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and will contribute nothing to. Oh, massively. Our system over the last 40 years has been financialized. Bonds, hedge funds, our economy, a lot of our economy in the UK, America, across the world is based on speculation. And this is so bad for just wages, growth. Like, there's a reason why the UK has had stagnating growth, and it's because we're so reliant on speculation. We don't make anything, and the economy kind of is based on. That's why China does so well, because they actually make stuff. They make everything pretty much. So, yeah, um, it's not good. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in raid. Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're trying to protect a certain industry, like car industry, and yeah, I have no problem with that. A lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of misconceptions about the left, and they don't value isolationism and protectionism, and even immigration. Like, if it's hurting an economy, yeah, I don't have any problems with potentially curtailing it, but it doesn't. That's the fact. It actually doesn't. But protectionism sometimes is necessary in times of war, emergencies. There are times when it is necessary. The only social responsibility a company should to deliver. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to the strongly disagree. I mean, that's the world we live in now, where there's a legal obligation, but it's not working for the average person. It really isn't. Companies have too much power. There's monopolies and like Amazon, Google, Facebook. They have too much power. They have a massive amount of just how we shape the world, and yeah, too powerful. Too powerful. It's not good. The rich are too highly taxed. Strongly disagree. I mean, we had in the 60s 90% tax rates in the UK, and that's when we were most prosperous. So we need to be taxing the wealthy more. That would be the beginning of seeing some investment in the UK and investment in infrastructure and the public services. We need to tax the wealthy more. They've got a lot of money. Often it's in offshore accounts. We need that money. It's for the common good. And it is common sense as well. I don't like that term, but it's common sense to actually use the wealth that's been accumulated by the workers to make everybody's lives better, even the richest lives better. They get impacted by inequality too. Like this crime, mental health issues, the cost to the NHS, that impacts them too. So everybody wins when the rich pay their fair share. Those with the ability to pay should have an access to higher standards of medical care. Ooh, okay. Those with the ability to pay should have an access to higher standards of. No, yeah, if you can afford it, but it shouldn't be based on the ability to pay. Disagree on that. I think, yeah, if you can go private, but I don't think, yeah, I don't like that one. Government should penalise businesses that mislead. Oh, massively so. Of course. Companies lie to their shareholders constantly about what they're doing, how they're adding value. Oh, yeah, massively. Like, the business corruption and just how they get away with so much stuff is insane. Like, in 100 years, I guarantee, if we're still here, we'll look back at like the corporate greed, how democracies are bought, and just how money controls everything, and how a small amount of people have so much influence. So yeah, I strongly agree with that. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. A genuinely free. I mean, you're never gonna have a free market. That's the thing. Like they rely on the state. There's never going to be a free market because they rely on the infrastructure and protection of private property from the state. So free market is kind of a fallacy. It's never happening. Um, a free market requires restrictions, ability on. I mean, if you do have a free market, yeah, I agree. There needs to be restrictions. So yeah, I agree on that one. Now look at some of your personal social views. Abortion when the woman's life is threatened should always be illegal. What? Abortion when the woman's life is threatened should always be illegal. Strongly disagree with that. That's insane. The abortion debate has been settled for 50 years in the UK. 1967, it was made legal. And now figures like Farage and the far right in America are actually trying to bring it back. It's insane. We are regressing. And there's actually studies to suggest that a lot of women's rights in the West are actually being rolled back. We're going backwards in some ways. And this is because of the Overton window shifting to the right, or even further to the right. It's the far right has been mainstreamed, it's been normalized, and we're seeing the consequences of that on women. And also, assaults on women has gone up. They are interrelated, interlinked. All authority should be questioned, of course. Goes without saying. Goes without saying. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. No, that's just so. Yeah, just. I hate that. It's such a conservative way of seeing things. Like, you. I. Someone's doing something bad and then just do it bad back to them. It's such a reactionary, emotional revenge type of response. And sometimes we fall into this in everyday life, and it's easy to kind of have an emotional response, but you've got to calm down, count to 10, take your breaths, and step back and go, okay, let's be rational. Let's be kind of thinking here, like think critically. So strongly disagree. It's not good. Taxpayers should be expected to prop up any theatres or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Hmm. Taxpayers should not be expected. I don't know on this one. I think theatres and museums are massively important cultural places that often don't get the funding and help they need. Should not. I disagree with that. Not strongly, but I think they need help. I think we should be promoting the arts. They give massive value to life, the beauty of life. Museums are about education and understanding, and yeah, we need to value these. And in the last 14 years, 15 years, they've not been valued. They've been neglected, and it's seen as, oh, they're a luxury or something extra that we shouldn't be spending money on. I just disagree. I mean, we live in very anti-intellectual, anti-art times, almost anti-history. Like, people don't want to know about history. They just want to be like, yeah, let's not learn the lessons of history. Let's just repeat them. Taxpayers should not be expected. Disagree. Schools should not make classroom. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Nah, I think should not. I disagree with that. Strongly disagree. I think you've got to go to school. I think it's important. I think, yeah, education is probably one of the most important values and things to kind of get people thinking critically. And I didn't value education when I was young. I hated school. I hated high school, and I wish I valued it young when I was younger. I just didn't value it. Only until I kind of left school and went to college to actually embrace an education and go, actually, learning is probably one of the most important things you can do. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own. Oh my God. That's insane. Strongly disagree on that. But that's insane that there'll be people in the UK and across the world more than ever who would agree with that. Like, oh yeah, sad. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. No, I strongly disagree with that. If you're hitting your child, I'm sorry, you've lost. You've lost at that point. You are not a parent. You are a weak person. You're just showing that you don't understand the child, their needs, and you're not listening to them. If they're crying, they're probably crying about something. I hate witnessing parents in public. They are awful because they'll just see their crying child being moany or annoying, and just tell them that, oh, stop being annoying. They're not listening to their needs. They're not going, how can I help you? What's up? Is something bothering you? Like, they don't communicate, and they get upset when their child is acting out or like being moany or crying. I really I can't deal with it. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I mean, when you're 4 or 5 years old, like, and you do something in school that you shouldn't have done, you hit another child or whatever, you probably would keep that a secret from your parents. Like, you don't tell your parents everything, like, especially if you're a teenager. Like, yeah, I think it's natural. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal. Oh, strongly agree. I mean, I'm not a weed smoker, it's not my thing, but the fact that the UK is so behind on this is really, it's kind of an anomaly. Like, we are very progressive in many ways, but on the drugs thing, we're so regressive, we're so reactionary. Even parts of America are better than us. I think it's a real mistake. The war on drugs just simply has not worked. And we need to change our approach, not criminalize it, tax it, legalize it, and understand why people take drugs. I think that's the most important thing. Why do people now more than ever turn to alcohol, gambling, food, stimulants to often kind of numb the pain of their lives? And that be a trauma, the dissatisfaction with their lives, debt, stress, struggles, emotional. Yeah, I think we need to address that. Um, the prime function of schooling should be to equip the future for generation to find jobs. Strongly disagree. It should be about critical thinking, learning about history, a rounded education, maths, English, an appreciation for difference, creativity, like thinking correct. I think the most important objective of education should be critical thinking, questioning your own assumptions. Why do you believe things? So if you have a certain attitude towards a group or a certain, like Shakespeare or, history or certain things, why do you believe that? And is it based on evidence? Is it based on prejudice? Where are your beliefs coming from? That should be the objective. At the moment, that's not happening. We aren't really taught critical thinking in education. And I don't think that's an accident. I think essentially it is the Victorian kind of notion of just create people for labor. That's it. And it's deeply sad because countries like Finland, they have great education and it's not based on summative assessment. It's based on play. It's based on exploration and learning in a more kind of like spontaneous way. Like, we know that exams, tests don't really work. Like, it takes a certain type of person to kind of adapt to that. And it's a skill you can just learn. Like, to do an exam is a very specific thing and it doesn't really indicate your intelligence. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. That's insane. That's Nazi. It's eugenics. No, I strongly disagree. Like, why shouldn't they have the opportunity? Like, that's just eugenics, and there's no place for it in the world we live in today. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Wow. No, no. If you if you raise a child like that, they're probably not going to have a good time in life. There are no savage and what? There are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. That's the thing. So much of like reaction views and what we'd call like backwards views compared to like Western values are a product of socioeconomics. Like, the poorer a country, the more reactionary they're going to be. And it's through wealth that and kind of industrialization that a country becomes more educated. They're more likely to give options to the women. The more women are more likely to be educated and have contraception. So the more wealth and the more education, those values kind of disappear. So there are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. There are no. I agree. I don't like that one. It's again not not a great one. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should be those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. I think people should work more for them mental health, not like just to be productive members of society. I think it's good to go out and being part of the community and contribute. I think we are built for working and doing stuff and whatever it be poetry, being a builder, whatever. Um, should not expect society's support. Those who are able to work and refuse. I think we should support people. Like, obviously, in an ideal world, if you don't want to work, I don't think you should. But you should be doing something towards the greater good, like society and those who are only able to work. Refuse. Disagree. I don't know. I think that one's complicated, but I think we should help people who, I don't know. That one, I don't like that one. When you are troubled, it's better to not to think about it, but to keep busy. Strongly disagree with that. I think that avoidant behavior just causes so many, and we all do it in various ways. But like when you're troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy. I think that's such a conservative reactionary view of like, oh, if you're depressed, just get on with it, go to work and just suck it up. And that's what a lot of men do. And there's a reason why we are more likely to do bad things to ourselves that end very badly. Let's just say that. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within then. No, I think that's strongly disagree. I think most of the people who come over to the UK historically have wanted to integrate. There's a reason why they came here. Otherwise, they wouldn't come here. Like a lot of people assume that they just come here because they want a free ride. Often, when someone wants to leave their country, which often they love, they kind of have good reasons to be here. Generally, they're not just coming for a free ride. And immigrants contribute massively to the economy, the culture, just the space of humanity that isn't just an ethno state. What's good for the most successful corporation is always ultimately good. Strongly disagree. That's just so silly. Like we are so cooked to corporations. I mean, we will look back at this in 100, 200 years and go, wow, why did we let that happen? Why did we let a small amount of people just control everything and everyone and just extract all our wealth and labor and just consolidate wealth, power, and we just, the mass, just kind of just let it happen. Well, we just let it happen. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content should receive public funding. No broadcasting institution, however independent. Disagree with that. I don't know. I disagree. How you see the wider society. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I wouldn't say excessively. It all depends where you live and who you are. If you're a black person or Muslim in a city and, after 9/11, after 2005 in the UK, it depends on time. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed. I wouldn't say that not at the moment, but there is the potential when certain things happen. So I disagree with that. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay the progress. Strongly disagree. I don't like China. I don't like Russia. I don't like autocracies. I think as flawed as democracy is, There is no better alternative for now, unless we have true democracy, and that's democracy in the workplace, and a radical democracy where we get the money out of politics, and we really have more working class people, more representation of actual real interest in politics, not just people politicians that have been bought, and a very anti old system that just doesn't work. Like, people want proportional representation, they want a change to the system. Although we, although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Strongly disagree. Like, the idea that, like, oh, you've got nothing to worry about. They put cameras in your house, but if you're not doing any legal activity like drugs and like bad things like that, you've got nothing to worry about. No, like, no privacy, like, innocent until proven guilty, my friend. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Strongly disagree. I just don't think state sanctioned killing is an opportunity, just an option, really. I mean, what's the percentage of people who actually end up being innocent? Is it like 5% ish in America? Maybe more. I think once you start there, the slippery slope fallacy, but I really don't like it. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed, and people strongly disagree. I just don't believe in hierarchies. I don't. I'm a leftist. I think we're all basically the same. I don't think people should be at the top, and I just don't believe that. I've never believed it, and I never will. It's just not something that's in my brain. I just don't believe it. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Strongly disagree. Abstract art is some of the best art. Like Mark Rothko, like David Lynch. The abstract art kind of really show there's so much there. Like, it really hints at the ineffable and goes beyond language and representation. Like, abstract art is a way to kind of untap, like, or tap into, like, the unconscious, and kind of make you think about reality in a way that's not conventional and often not logical, and it should provoke thinking. Abstract art makes you think, and it makes you feel as well. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than strongly disagree. Punishment doesn't work. It just doesn't. We've got the data on this. Like America, UK, some of the highest incarceration rates. Punishing someone, no, you have to understand sociologically why people commit crime. There's a reason why shoplifting has gone up massively in the last few years. It's distrust in society that comes from inequality. It's really that simple. That in itself is not simple, but there's a reason why people commit crime, and it's not because they're bad. Often there's a massive causation between poverty and crime, and we need to tackle the poverty. Crime's the symptom. What's the cause? That's what we need to focus on. But we don't. We act like, oh, criminals are bad people. No, we're all capable of committing crimes, and don't essentialize these people. It is a waste of time to try to some criminals. I mean, yeah, some maybe, but I think I disagree with that, because I think you've got to try. I think even if you've got the most insane person who's got deep mental health issues and they've done one of the most heinous crimes, I think you have to make an attempt at rehabilitation, because we owe it to that person. There's a reason why they did what they did. And that may be very complex, nuanced, and they have been a victim of really bad stuff. So I think we owe it as a society to, like, give people a chance and treat them as humans. I know that's woke nonsense to a lot of people, but I believe it. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the art. Strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. Massively. I think the writer and the artist are some of the most important people in society. They teach us, they show us empathy. Stories are so important. People engage with stories constantly. The storytellers, the poets, the artists. These are some of the most important people in society. We may not value them at the moment in our political climate, but they tell us the truths that people don't like to hear. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be there. Strongly disagree. I just don't buy into that. I think mothers, women should be able to do what they want. They should have freedom. And there's a lot of burden. There's a lot of unpaid labor from women. They're just expected to do it. And it really disgusts me. And these weak men who just expect this of their girlfriend or wife, that even though she may work full time, she may look after the kids, feed the kids, clean the home, and the men just go home and play PlayStation. I think that inherently just very sick men who do that. I think they are. I don't want to essentialize them, but they're not good people. Almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should heed the warnings of climate science that growth is detrimental to the effort. Yeah, I think we need to take it. Yeah, we need to listen to the scientists. Crazy, I know, but we need to take that seriously. We really aren't. Strongly agree. Yeah, we should think about how we grow, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a detriment of the environment. We can grow in a green way, have a Green New Deal, have a radical change, and actually try and tackle climate change, because it is real, depending on what people feel about it. We need to tackle it because it's happening across the world. The wildfires in California, it's happening. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. What is that question? That's insane. Insane. Strongly disagree. No, never make a peace with any establishment. Never. No. Never will. I will never make my peace with the establishment. If you got through that okay, you'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. Oh, Jesus. Astrology accurately explained. No, fascism. If you believe in astrology, you are an essentialist. You believe, I do not trust people who believe in astrology. You believe that the world is predetermined, that some people are this way because of when they were born. It's so irrational, it's so emotional, and it's deeply fascistic. Like the idea that some people are just this way, some people are that way. It's not environmental, it's innate, inherent, and it disgusts me. I do not trust these people. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree. Yeah, you can be moral without having any religion. I think that goes without saying. It's quite obvious. Charity is better than social security as a means to helping. Strongly disagree. I mean, charities are a means to maintain the status quo. Like, charities wouldn't exist in an ideal world where we actually met people's needs, like food banks. Food banks really didn't exist before 2010. Now there's hundreds across the UK. And that's a failing of government, society, capitalism. And yeah, I think you've failed society. I think society has failed you if charities are having to make up, social security. Some people are naturally unlucky. Some people what do you mean naturally? I don't like the word naturally. I don't think people are naturally unlucky. Strongly disagree. I don't like that. It's important that my child's school instills. Strongly disagree. I hate that. I really don't like that. I don't think religion should be taught in schools at all. Like, I just don't like it. It's that simple. I don't like the fact that I sung hymns. I'm not a Christian. I just don't think religion has a place in school. Finally, a look at sex. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. There may be reasons for it. I don't really care. Like, sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. Yeah, usually. I think if you want to have sex with people you shouldn't outside marriage, you probably just leave them. Like, don't do that to other people. Just be nice. If you want to marry someone, you've married them for a reason. You've made vows. Like, you should probably stick to that. If you don't want to marry someone, that's fine. Sleep with, you know, consenting adults. That's fine with me. Yeah. A same-sex couple in a stable living relationship should not be excluded from the. Yeah, strongly agree. Excluded, of course. They make some of the best adoptees. Like, if you've got two men, often men get paid more, and they're both in really good jobs. They are potentially giving that child a better opportunity than, a heteronormative couple. Like, same sex doesn't mean anything. Like, really. Yeah. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. I agree. There's problems with it, massively so. And often because there's stigma towards it. There are massive problems with the industry. It is exploitative. But that goes with any industry. Under capitalism, that is the economy we live in. And we should seek to make reforms. We should seek to regulate the industry and have unions and give people control in that industry. At the moment, that's not happening. So there is problems, massive problems. But yeah, there's a stigma that we need to confront there with sex work because, people should, if they choose it, should have the freedom. What goes on in a private bedroom between two consenting adults is no business. Completely agree. They have nothing to do with it, which is ironic because, you have historically conservatives. They do like to get into people's bedrooms. They do like that. No one can feel naturally homosexual. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Well, sexuality is so socially mediated. Like, sexuality in Shakespeare's time, 400 years ago, kind of there wasn't the notion of like heterosexuality, that binary that we have today. So it is socially conditioned. Like, there's no naturally anything. Like, so yeah, it's socially mediated. So no one can feel naturally. No one can feel naturally homosexual. No one. Disagree. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Strongly disagree. I don't think we are open about it. I think the younger people now are kind of asexual. They don't talk about sex. They don't like sex scenes in films. People on average are having less sex than ever. Like, we don't talk about it. We live in really weird times where you have pornography all over the place, but we're probably some of the most chaste we've ever been. Like, people aren't having kids and people aren't having sex really, and it's genuinely sad. So, yeah, like, it hasn't really. Weird. Okay, let's see where we go. Oh, wait. About the political spectrum. Okay, where are we? China. Scale. Oh, there I am. Yeah, that's pretty obvious where I thought I'd be. Left, libertarian. Quite predictable, really, if you watch my stuff. Comment below. Where are you on the political spectrum? And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.